Hello, good morning, and welcome to Book Clubs and Bobbins. For anybody who hasn't seen my channel before, I am creative, I craft, I do a bunch of stuff like that, and I haven't been posting as many craft videos because I just haven't had as much time to actually get into any crafts lately, but I promise that I will. The other portion of my channel is reading books and talking about them. So today's book is Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. I am in multiple book clubs, and this is the one that my best friend Ellen has picked for our book club, our Queer Lina book club. If you are located in the Raleigh-Durham area or anywhere close, we meet at Little Blue Bakehouse, 6:30, the last Tuesday of every month. And if you would like to know what book we're reading for the next month, you can go to queerlina.org/events. It's queerolina.org, and then the events tab. We have all that stuff there. So anyway, today I'm going to start this book. Our book club is in 9 days, and I really just want to have a little bit more time than I gave myself the last time, but I also don't want to read them too close. I don't want to read them too early and then forget everything. So this is my attempted middle ground. I'm going to try and read this casually, calmly, while also not forgetting anything. Wish me luck. But yeah, what I'm going to do is I'll just start the book, and then whenever I have something to say, whether it's at the end of the first chapter, or maybe I'll read a couple chapters, maybe I'll do it every single chapter. I don't know. It depends on the book. I will stop, and then I'll have a conversation. I will talk about what is happening in the book, my thoughts about what's going to happen next, and then kind of analyze how I'm feeling about the book somewhat. So if you don't want spoilers, just look in the comments for my rating, not comments, in the description for my rating. Or I can put it here. I can put the rating here. Here's my rating for the book. But if you either don't care about spoilers or have already read the book, listen on and you'll hear everything that I think about the book as I'm reading it and why I rated it, whatever I rated it. Okay, so I've read one chapter of this, and honestly, the chapter was a good size. It's 21, takes me to page 21. Yeah, 21 pages. Actually, total, the book is only 294. Interesting. It was a little bit a slower start because, they kind of got set scene, right? That's you're just visualizing everything. There's nothing that really happens right in the beginning. But we find out that Misha is the main character. He is a writer for TV shows, or show. I don't know if he's doing multiple or just this one. He doesn't like being on set. He doesn't like to be at Hollywood studios. We don't know why, but he seems pretty anxious. He gets called in though for a meeting. We also meet his best friend, Tara, or Tara, Tara. I want to say Tara. That sounds right to me, but I don't know. I've never met anybody named Tara before, so maybe it's Tara. I don't know. She seems fun. She's on IT. She also told him to put his phone on airplane mode whenever he's in the area. I'm not sure if like she knows something or what. And then they also talked a little bit about AI because some actor who's already dead, his likeness was used to like turn him into a character. Like he was acting even though he's not there anymore. Like it was all CGI, it was all AI. Um, and so apparently this specific studio is really, really good at that. So that happened. And then he was called into this exec's office, right? And he's talking to him. And apparently the characters that he wrote as lesbians, like they submit their list and stuff like that ahead of time, right? And he usually doesn't get any notes, I guess. But apparently the two that he said as lesbians, they were supposed to share one bed and then they were supposed to kiss. And like he's been building up to this, and then this is like an important part of the next arc. And he says, well, the exec says like that this can't happen. That they're like, no, we really want like your main characters, the people that are playing your main characters, just don't do press releases really often. Like they don't like go out and do anything. And also like they're saying like the higher ups are saying that we need to replace one of your current people with a white conservative person, and then like to spice it up, I guess. And he's like, you can still do the kiss and stuff like that, but then you'd have to kill them. And so that's where bury your gays comes in, where it's like, oh, so you just want me to bury my gays, like that kind of thing. And so he's kind of shocked because he's like, this is like an old way of thinking, like what the hell? But yeah. So he leaves, and then he also seems to be collecting matches. Now, okay, he only mentioned that he picked up souvenir matches and then put them in his pocket and they touched the other set of souvenir matches he had in there. So I don't know if he like collects them, if that'll come in the future, if that's just like a personality trait, like we're just supposed to see he has like patterns of doing things. I don't know. Yeah, and then on his way back to his car, he sees a like the old guy that he had mentioned him earlier. I don't know. He's like some animation guy. He's really, really well known, and he's messing with a girl. Like he's like touching her inappropriately or whatever. And Misha runs up, stops it. The girl gets away, and then or like backs away. I don't know if she like leaves, but she like stops getting touched. And as he's yelling at this animation guy, all of a sudden a piano falls down on him. Um, Not on Misha, on the other guy. Main character is fine. It's just the other guy. Um, so, oh, and then one thing that he also mentioned, like before that happened, was he's like, I never know what to say in these situations, but I would just pretend I'm a character. Like, I just write what I'm going to say in my head, like I am a character. So I think that's kind of interesting because I feel like that's kind of like how a lot of us, maybe not, at least me and a couple of my friends, like we just kind of like, it's almost like we have to like put on a character to go outside. Like, and not always, but like it's like situations where it's like, let me prepare ahead of time. Here's my little character. Here's who I want to be this day. Here's what I want people to see of me this day. Yeah, so that's interesting. But I thought, okay, so here's the thing. Whenever I saw Bury Your Gays, I legitimately thought like there was going to be like a serial killer going after gay people. Again, okay, if you have followed my channel before, if you've watched any of my stuff before, you'll know that I do not read the summaries. Even when this is like my book club, like the one that like is from my business. I don't read it because I feel like it ruins the book for me. And if I do read it, it's so long ago that I don't remember. Like when we voted for September's book club, I did read the synopsis that Ellen put together, but like I'm going to forget it by the time I read it, so it doesn't matter. So I didn't know what Bury Your Gays meant. I was literally expecting this to be like a serial killer like thriller. Now, does it seem like there is murder in it? Probably. Or maybe it's just accidental. I don't know. Maybe it's supernatural because it's weird that like a piano fell. Like maybe he has this ability to like stop the people who are stopping or doing bad things and he just doesn't realize it. I don't know. And I don't even know if more people are going to get hurt or die or anything like that. I don't know if this is just going to be like moving the plot along. I don't know. Obviously, clearly I don't know. I haven't read it yet. But yeah, so I don't read this. Like I read this. I don't read the synopsis on the back of the books. Um, and I think that makes it more fun to experience the book because I'm not waiting for, oh, this is the style of book that it is. It also kind of shows me, like, for sure, don't judge the book by its cover, because there are some times where I look at the book and I'm like, oh, this is going to be like a happy doodle one, and then it's like supernatural. So I don't know if this is supernatural. I don't know if this is um, a serial killer or a murderer or everything's an accident. I don't know. Um, I do enjoy the slight realism of, like, it's today, obviously, like, it's like today's day and age. Like, AI is a thing, and that's exactly what we're dealing with right now, like how scary AI is. So, or can be, even though it can be used for good, it can also be used to do something that, like, isn't real. Like he mentioned in this, hey, that guy that you made be this character, he would never have done that role when he was alive. And the exec's like, well, now he can. It's like, that's not necessarily great. Like, so I don't know. I'm intrigued to see how this touches on some of the technological things that are going on right now. It feels like it's going to be more of a sci-fi, maybe, or sci-fi fantasy, not fantasy, but like a little supernatural thrown in there. If I have to guess right now, it feels like it's going to, like, touch on that. Not necessarily be in the full world, but like maybe touch on it. I don't know. Or it could just be a drama that happened to have some real life issues. I don't know. But I'm going to keep reading. It's very enjoyable. Like, the first few pages I was like, but this is good. And also I like, again, if you have if you have followed my page before, you'll know I absolutely love chapter titles. And the chapter for this one was Memento Mori. And I legitimately thought that was for the characters that he's supposed to kill off. But I guess it was for that other dude, maybe. The next chapter is Inspiration, and it goes back to 1996. So when did this actually come out? Okay, 2024. Yeah, so it is like a recent one. Um, Interesting. So it goes back in time 3 different times. I'm not going to pay too much attention to the chapter titles because they might give it away, but I do enjoy looking at the chapter titles. Cool. I hit everything. I'm going to keep going after I feed my dogs. So I'll be back. Hi. Okay. So first off, you might notice that I have changed positions. Um, I was sitting in my rocking chair earlier, well, yesterday, but today, one of my dogs, his arthritis is acting up, so I got his doggy safe heating pad out, and he wanted to lay near me, so I put it down, and then, of course, all of them decided to play with me. So we are having a grounding day, I guess. Um, anyway, so I decided to start my day with some reading. I do have a lot to do, so I can only really do a couple chapters, but I'm hoping to get back to it tonight. Um, okay, so the first chapter I did was, well, first off, let me see where I am. I'm on page 40 is going to be the next one. So the first chapter that we did was back in time. It was 1996. It was titled Inspiration, and it talks basically about him being, like, invested in this show. Essentially, it was like an X-Files kind of show, I'm assuming. Like they're FBI, but there's aliens, you know? But it was two guys, and he's like, you can tell that they're like in love with each other. Now, mind you, this is his kid's birthday. I don't know how old he was. He probably said, but he was young. Okay, like probably like 9 or something like that. It probably said, I think 9. But so he's like invested in the show. It's his birthday party. He's watching it. He's so excited for the finale. He's like, they're gonna kiss. Like we know it. They're gonna be together. And you see not only the experience of being a gay boy in the 90s where he feels like he's not connected to the people around him and he quickly gets bullied for wanting these two to kiss, even though he didn't say it out loud. He got upset when they didn't. Um, and like somebody was like, oh, you're just upset because you have a crush on this guy, right? And so he like goes out crying and like it's his birthday though. So essentially what happens is like he's watching the show, he's invested, he wants them to kiss, and then right as they're going to, one of them says, I have to tell you, I'm in love with, and then mentions a woman that's in the show. And this is exactly what he was talking about in the early ones where it's like, look, this has happened to us so much, like that they get so close, we build up to this, and then like we don't get it. Queer folks don't get the representation on screen, they just get the build up. And he's like, I don't like this, right? So we're seeing where that kind of came from. We're also seeing the slight bullying, like some of it is stuff that he's feeling rather than like things that people are explicitly saying, and some of them are things that people are saying. Um, and how he had just like went, cried, and then came back and pretended nothing happened because that's what you do whenever you are a man in our society. That's what you're expected to do. Even as a boy, he knew that. Yeah, so that's where that inspiration came from, and it wasn't a very long chapter, but you could tell like that's why he's getting so upset about not being able to write his characters the way he wants to write his characters. And then the next chapter is it's a few weeks after the piano fell on the guy in front of him. He's experiencing PTSD. He's experiencing like the stress and the trauma of having seen this happen. And we meet his boyfriend. His boyfriend is bisexual. He's open. He's out. And that scares Misha. The boyfriend's name is Zeke. And so they go to a birthday party. So Blossom's upstairs at her own birthday party. Everybody else is partying. She's upstairs. She's watching documentaries. And she's like crying and she's like experiencing this. And like there's a videographer and everything. And she's like, yeah, these are documentaries about queer kids who grew up to do amazing things. And also they've all committed suicide. And so this is where she's like, I want to bring to light this, but I also want to bring to light people romanticize gay trauma in media. And like that's why it's like, oh, you can have them kiss, but then we'll kill them off because like, you know, more drama. It's like that's not what we need. We don't need more drama. We need more representation, right? And so like I think we're going to experience that a little bit throughout this book. Like it's nice. He says he's a horror writer, so like I'm intrigued. He also kind of brings in the fact that like because he experienced this death right in front of him, he is now feeling more connected to the things he does have and not the things that are going wrong, which I definitely heavily connect with. Like, do I also get very anxious about the things that are going wrong? Yes. But like, I think because I've experienced a lot of this death and I've almost died a couple times, it's like you kind of like realize how important every little tiny thing is in your life. Like you kind of sit down and settle in your thoughts a little bit more. And so I can definitely see that like feeling, I don't want to say euphoria because that's not really necessarily the word, but like feeling full in the moment is what he's experiencing at this birthday party when he goes downstairs and he like experiences that like life in his body, like experiencing like feeling glad that he's there and glad for the things that he has and the people he has, right? So in this moment, he kisses his boyfriend, turns around, notices the videographer is videoing him, and he gets pissed. Now, first off, I get it because he already seems like he's like a private dude. Like he just doesn't want like his life on the screen. But he got upset, and we find out it's because Blossom is so well known that the people, not only here in Hollywood, will see this documentary when it happens, but also so will the people back in Montana. So we learn he's not out. And at the end, like even though his boyfriend is very much more like calm and like reserved and he's just like, let's go, like you're fine, everything's fine. At the end he's like, sure didn't want anybody taking a video of us kissing. So like I think we're gonna see this character grow, like Misha grow into either accepting himself as a queer person and fully being out and fuck the consequences, which is hard, or we're going to see this destruction of a relationship because he's not ready. Um, I am intrigued since he is a horror writer and death happened in front of him. I do still think there will probably be more death in this show, or in the book. um, but I'm not 100% certain. Um, Also, since we're talking about chapter titles, the chapter title for, I'm just going to go back to the title things, so not the title, the contents. So we did Inspiration, which was 1996, and then we said To See and Be Seen. So, I mean, that kind of, okay, so I did understand mostly then, I hope, the meaning of this chapter of he's now seeing things with a different light, but also he is being seen for who he is, which is gay, and I don't think he's ready for it. Or he's gonna have to get ready for it. Who knows? Um, but yeah, so I'm really enjoying this. It's not like a, I don't know what the plot is, I guess is what I'm saying. Like it's not like a, oh, it starts here and we know this is gonna happen and we know this is gonna happen and they're gonna end up getting together. Like it's not like a traditional system that I can see yet. It feels more like a um just an experience. Like it's just like, oh, this is life. I'm sure there are things that are going to happen that will lead this to be more plotty, but I just don't know exactly which things they're going to be yet. Is it going to be his queerness is one plot, and maybe there's like more trauma that happens here that has to do with the death of people in front of him? Is this, again, supernatural? Does he have supernatural? I mean, we are talking about him watching alien stuff. Maybe he does actually have some supernatural stuff and we just don't know it yet. I don't know. I'd be intrigued if that is it. I'm starting to feel like that's not it, but it'd be cool if it was. Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I do have to take a break and do real work, but this is a good start to the day. So we're back again on the floor again because my Timby is still on his heating pad. Well, not still. He's had breaks. For anybody who is going to comment that that's bad, he has been taking breaks. Anyway, okay. So I read one book. I read one chapter. I'm about to start page 58. The chapter that I read was called The Smoker, which makes sense. Okay. So, he goes out to hang out with Tara. And he's like kind of like off, whatever. And she's like, okay, what do you want to like just like vent to me and like me to be like, it's okay, everything's gonna be all right? Or do you actually want to like fix things? He wants to fix things. I love this because there are so many times when you call somebody and you're like, I just need to get it off my chest. I know what I need to do, but I'm still stressed about it. And then there are times where you're like, I cannot comprehend what I need to do next. We all need a friend like that. Okay, anyway, then at one point, somebody comes over and she's a fan and she's like obviously clearly flirting with him, which he's like, bruh, I'm gay. But like he didn't say that. He didn't say that because he's not out fully. He's only out in LA. He's not out social media and he's not out in Montana. Okay. So she comes over and she's like, I don't know, flirting with him and like, I just read your book, whatever, I don't know. And then she leaves and Tara's like, weird. Her name isn't actually, she introduced herself as Alice. Her name isn't actually Alice. Like, mind you, remember Tara's in like IT and stuff. She's like, her name's Riley. Like, this is weird. So, whenever they said that, I was like, this feels like an interaction that's like gonna come up later. So, that and then he mentions like all the things that are going on, like with the having to come up with a script thing, and she's like, no, fuck them. You don't need to either have two gay characters that are dead or two straight characters that are alive. You can do whatever you want. You're the writer. And he's like, yeah, fuck them. So like they get excited about that, whatever. The other thing that he mentioned is his reunion. Again, this is where we know like he is not out to his family. His 20-year reunion is coming up this coming Friday, and he didn't invite his boyfriend of a year. They've been together for a year, and he didn't invite him. And Tara kind of called him on his bullshit. Is like, is the reason that he doesn't have a way to get there because you waited until he already had plans, which is like the week of. And he's like, yeah. So we know he's gonna be mad at him. Rightfully so, honestly. And then they get ready to leave, like they party all night, and then they get ready to leave, and they go through an alley, and they come up to somebody that he describes as a fan dressed as the Smoker. So the Smoker is a character that he wrote in one of his books. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the same book that that other fan had mentioned. Black Lamb is the one that she mentioned, and the Smoker is from Death Blooms. Though there were extras. They're just called Death Blooms 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Anyway, so he is a super, super pale man who doesn't have eyelids and doesn't have eyebrows. And he says, you got a light. Do you got a light? And then, like, the other person is supposed to have a light. Like, that's how you stay safe. Like, this is like a horror thing, right? So this is like, I'm assuming, and we don't know everything yet, I'm assuming that the Smoker is like a threatening thing, kind of like a lore, like, hey, this is how you survive it. It's you just always have matches on you. So now we know where the matches come in. He always has the matches because he's always been waiting for a fan to do this. But he reaches in his hand or in his pockets, and guess what? There's no matches. So he can't be like, yeah, here's the light. Here, I'm safe. Here you go. But of course he keeps reminding himself, hey, this is a fan. Like, he has crazy good prosthetics because he's not blinking his eyes just like the character, and he doesn't have eyelids just like the character, and his skin is so pale. And this has me thinking, I really feel like this is a real thing. Like, I don't know. They were talking about the fact that like the animation guy got a piano dropped on him, like a Wile E. Coyote type thing, and now we're seeing him with the character that he's built to kill people, I'm assuming. So that's weird. And he doesn't even, like, whenever he says got a light, it like it's from a car radio. Like, he doesn't speak. So I'm wondering if that's like a thing in the books as well, or movies or whatever, the show as well. Um, because he mentions like the guy's mouth didn't move. It came from the stereo. And then he also mentioned like, but the weird part was the guy didn't like move. Like he didn't click a button. His hands didn't move. So I'm like really feeling like this is like the actual character. Like somehow something's bringing the characters to life, or something's bringing the dangers to life for these guys. But he did say he thinks that the person who stole the light his matches, because he's like, I always have matches. Um, he thinks that it might have been like that Alice Riley person. So maybe they're working together. I don't know. Um, and then later that night, they both go home. Um, and then he wakes up with to a phone call in the middle of the night. It's Alice, and um, she says that she's like, "Are you messing with me? There's somebody in my house, like, or somebody at my apartment. Like, are you messing with me?" And he's like, "No." And then he hears knocks, and the call gets disconnected. He hears knocks, and he goes downstairs. And then whenever he comes back up, she calls him again, and she's like, "Okay, like, I guess it was just somebody sneaking around, like, blah, blah, blah." Then something clicked in his mind, and he's like, "Oh, shit." I'm assuming that they are, like, whoever is doing this is either actually the person from his books or his movies or show or whatever he writes, his show, or they're using that as a marker because he says, "I know who this is. I know what's going on. Don't worry, they're not going to come back tonight. We have 5 days." And she's like, 5 days until what? So we're going to learn soon what that 5 days is, what that entails. But I am truly feeling like this is real. Not real to us, but like real to them. Like, I don't think it's just a stalker. I don't think it's just somebody that really likes his stuff. I mean, if they're just truly that good, cool. But I don't think so. So I guess we'll find out. Um, I am very happy with how fleshed out these characters are. They are they all have different personalities. They all have very strong personalities from what I can tell. It's like he definitely gave them like a background before he wrote this book. Um, yeah, I'm very happy with this. It's getting faster too. So I'm intrigued to see what this threat is going to entail. Yeah, I'm liking this. I'm liking this a lot. Whew. Okay, so I finished Lamb, the chapter Lamb, which means I'm about to start the next one on chapter 77. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the first thing is I forgot to mention in the last time that I paused that whenever he came inside, whenever he stopped like in the evening, whenever he heard the phone, not the phone, oh my gosh, when he went downstairs to like check and see who was knocking and he came back up, after he got off the phone with Tara, there were cigarettes on the side of his bed, like on the side table. So I forgot to mention that. And he brushed it off. He was like, "Oh, I mean, like it was suspicious, but like also it could have been a friend at a party who came in my bedroom and I just now noticed." No, no. Okay, so he goes on a run to clear his brain. Oh wait, no, sorry. First, the chapter starts with like, I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Hang on. With like text like this. I don't know if you can see that very well. It's like how a scene is written. And it's like it's it's of Misha and he wakes up disoriented in the middle of a park, Malibu State Park, and there's a black pen in his hand, and there is a shiny metal lab tray sitting on a stump nearby with a key fob in it. He finds the car that goes with the key, and then he gets in it after he was suspicious. It does say he was suspicious, but he still did it. And then he even asked somebody nearby if it was their car, and they're like, "Looks like it's your car, buddy. You have the key." Um, he gets in, and then it says navigating home, and like takes him home. But that's where it stops. But it's a scene written about Misha. So I'm like, I don't think Misha would have written this. That's weird. Okay. So he goes on a run to clear his head, and he's like, there are a few different pathways that he'll take, but like he usually takes one if his like brain is like, oh my gosh, I have to like get home for like the thoughts in my head, I have to like get them on a paper. Like this is usually how he like gets his ideas for his shows. So he's like he'll take one if he's just like enjoying his run, and he'll take another if he has an idea. Well, he ended up wanting to just go back and be with Zeke because he's had a bad day, right? He wants to go see Zeke and he wants to go see Tara. Um, but like as he's looking down, he sees a black lamb, and then that's where we find out a black lamb was the monster in one of his horror films. Um, it was like apparently there, I don't know, something about like a farm and everything was like desolate or something like that. I don't know. And then like a black lamb was born, and they were like, we have to like this is special. And then they keep looking past everything that's weird about this lamb and brushing it off, and then all of a sudden it is a monster and it's killing people. And he's like, I mean, it's just a fucking lamb. This definitely isn't real. Like, this is crazy. But as he keeps walking, or staring at it or whatever, it like makes the same coughing noise that the monster would make, and then also like a red tentacle comes out of its nose, which is again the same thing that he described in the show. But he's like, he keeps still trying to like explain to himself. He's like, no, like it's just a parasite, like it's just sick. But he's like, I'm not dealing with this. And he runs the other way and he goes home the other way. And his thought is there had to be somebody nearby that dropped it off. They had to know where he was going. They had to know, like, he has to have a stalker. They have to know which direction he was going. And they had to like pay attention. Um, so he goes home. He goes to meet Tara and Zeke for breakfast or lunch or whatever. I don't know. They go to a bar. And Tara's like, well, first off, found out that Riley played a character named Alice who was a villain and a stalker. And this is again where I'm like, is it her playing this character again on purpose, or is this like things in Hollywood are coming to life? But she was played by a real human, so like maybe it took over the human's life, or maybe there's two of them. I don't know. And she also said that like some technical jargon, she uses her phone to like check other people's output or something. I don't know. And she's like, I know that like whoever was around us last night did not have their phones on or had them really locked down. And so like Zeke and him are like, that's weird because like how else would they have communicated that they were supposed to like play the sound when they did in the car to be his voice? So weird. Well, while they're talking though, like he pulls out his phone and she's like, hey, no, I've already told you multiple times. I don't remember what the name of the place that they work, but someone in Hollywood Studios, their boss, she said that they illegally download info from your phone. And so she's like, turn it on airplane mode or turn it off and like get a burner for work. And this is like the second or third time she said this. So like I feel like that's going to come in the future of like maybe the reason they were able to create these beings is from their phones or something like that. I don't know. We also found out what the 5 days was. Apparently his storyline was in 5 days the smoker is going to grind their bones up and smoke them. I don't think that human ashes can smoke like that. But who knows? And then we also find out that the smoker was based on somebody in his past, Uncle Keith. Oh, oh, he also has a briefcase. The smoker has a briefcase, and we don't know what's in it. But obviously the character does. So we're going to probably find out what's in it. I'm not sure. But anyway, we think that, I think that based off of like the flashbacks, the smoker was based off of Uncle Keith. Probably a bad guy. Probably did something he didn't like. Maybe hurt him. And we're also seeing all of his characters or all of stuff is based off of something in his past or something that he connected with. What really surprised me is that the smoker showed up while they're in this bar. He shows up outside And like everybody gets really, really quiet, and somebody, the waitress comes up to them and is like, that guy's looking for you. And so right as he looks up, his phone rings, and that's how he communicates. But he's not talking. He's not moving his mouth. He's not doing anything. He's just existing and staring at them with unblinking eyes because he can't blink. He doesn't have eyelids. Um, and basically he's like, I want to talk to you. Come outside. And he's like, and like Keith, oh my gosh, no. Misha is like, no. How about you stop stalking me? This isn't funny. You know, like that kind of thing. Like, are you a fan? What do you want? A fucking autograph? Like, what do you want? So he blows up. People are recording. Fine. And he's like, the smoker's like, I want to talk to you about your behavior. I asked for a light. And like, it all kind of culminates when he's like, well, if you're not going to come outside, maybe next time I'll come inside. And it's like, and when he hangs up, obviously Zeke is there to comfort him. And then Tara grabs his phone and like starts doing something with it. And she finds Ash in the speaker. I don't know. This is definitely more sci-fi than I expected it to be from the outset, but I am loving it. Like it's not, I don't know. It's it definitely has suspense. And it has me wondering like, is this someone creating these characters, like maybe hiring people to dress up as them, hiring something or creating something, like maybe even some sort of an AI type thing, since they were talking about AI already. I wonder if there's a way that like they could make AI feel so real, that like the sheep seems like it was actually there, but it wasn't. But then also like other people outside actually saw the smoker, and then he just disappeared. Whenever he stopped talking, he just like grinned and then just like fucking disappeared. Like literally disappeared. And everybody was like, I don't know, he just like went poof. I mean, that's weird. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I obviously I don't know what's gonna happen, but I like this. I have a stupid summer cold, so bear with me. Okay, so I just finished 2 chapters. I'm about to start the next one on page 104. Okay, so Nice Drive was one of the chapters. In this, he's with an executive that he's friends with. He's always had his back, apparently. And they're playing golf. And he kind of confronts him, like the exec's like, if you didn't come here to give me your new script of killing these characters, then why are you here? And he's like, well, so I think it's kind of a coincidence, too much of a coincidence, that I have a stalker that I've never had before, and now I have people trying to have me kill off characters, which I've never experienced before, at the same time. Like, is this, like, the exec would have the money to, like, dress somebody up like this and make this happen? So, he laughs it off, whatever. And the guy's like, I'm gonna get you security for everybody, but like, remember, you only have security as long as you work with us, so. Um, and then he gets ready to go to the reunion, and Zeke drives him. And Zeke gives him matches, and Misha's like, actually, why don't you keep them? I have too many in my carry-on, like, they won't let me bring any more, they only let me carry one, like one matchbook. And tells Zeke to carry them. I feel like that's gonna come in somewhere. Like maybe Zeke's gonna have somebody come up to him and he's gonna be able to give him matches or something, maybe. I don't know. And then as he walks into the airport, he gets a call from the smoker and he's like, fuck you, and hangs up. Fine. The next one is a ghost story. So he gets off. The ghost story is the name of the chapter. He gets off the flight and he immediately runs into Lance, who was one of his friends from school. Um, and he's like, do you think Richie's gonna be there? Richie is the person that like bullied him whenever he was a kid, who was also in their friend group, but like was a bully, among other things. I feel like that means they had something going on, and the reason that Richie was a bully, not that I'm condoning it, is because he had like internalized homophobia and he hated himself. Um, but anyway, so he like kind of wants the bully to be there. You can tell, and then like they go inside, they meet the rest of the friends, whatever. Um, the rest of the friends are kind of like, I don't know, it seems like they don't have his back. Like Lance has his back. The rest of the friends, it kind of just seems like they're there, like kind of make fun of him. Even the wives. Like there's two specifically, Richie and Seth, who are like really kind of assholes. Seth because he wanted to be a writer and isn't successful, and then Richie probably because he's gay and isn't comfortable with Misha. And he probably also because of bullying. I don't know. Um, but they're kind of like ragging on him a little bit, like, oh, Hollywood guy's here. Um, and they're like, why would you want to celebrate death? Why do you even write horror? Like, I can't watch that stuff. Like, one of the wives was like, I liked it, but it was too much, whatever. And like, I don't know. They're bringing up how much it is. He says, and I thought this was a really good point because after interviewing somebody who talked about horror and how important it is in delving into our society, this was really cool to like read in another book. Why would you want to see horror on screen? Okay, fine. Um, because nothing is black and white. Sex may be great, but we've got to leave the bedroom sometimes so our bodies don't atrophy and our bones don't snap. We need food. We need sunlight. Blah, blah, blah. Moving on, moving on. The same goes for fear, though. You don't want to experience that all the time, but it's a muscle that needs to be exercised. There are scary things in the world. That's just a fact. And if you pretend they're not all around us, then you're in for a rude awakening. Horror offers a chance to recognize this truth and to explore dark places in a safe way. And then he goes on to like tell a story. It's a ghost story about a house that he lived in where the lore of it was a girl died in the basement and um the family like ended up leaving and letting her like rot there and like die because they couldn't like fathom cleaning it up, I guess. I don't know. And so like they lived in this house and they tried to warn everybody, don't go downstairs, like don't try and sleep downstairs, even though it's a really nice bedroom. Don't don't try and stay down there because like bad things happen. And then like people kept moving down there, hallucinating or like seeing this girl or whatever, and like moving back up. And one guy moves down there, experiences this stuff, sees the girl sitting on the edge of his bed, hears tapping noises, whatever, and ends up dying. And everybody's like, but ghosts aren't real. So it says, my friend Dan thought it was bullshit too. The second night he woke up with Annie sitting on the edge of his bed. And do you know what he said? What? Dan said he had a pretty scary dream. Dan dismissed the danger because he didn't listen to the stories about Annie. If he had, maybe he would have pieced together what was really going on. Horror stories aren't just the things we want to see, they're about the things we need to see. Night of the Living Dead isn't really about zombies, it's about racism. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is littered with pro-vegetarian subtext. And They Live is more about rampant consumerism than aliens. And then he moves on by saying, here's the thing. By telling the story, I'm not celebrating Dan's death. My friend isn't around anymore, but we still are. We can still listen to this and think about what we might have done differently or what lessons we can carry into the future. This is how scary stories work, how horror works. We're all still here, safe and alive. We've had that primal rush and exercised those muscles to remind us death is eventually coming for everyone, but not today. I love this. I don't know. I think it's also something that I was just like talking about with somebody that we had interviewed. I don't even know when we interviewed her. Nell Ray Toller. She writes horror zines, and she's explaining similar things. Like there's so much that we put in media, whether it's on purpose or not, about the society that we're living in. And horror is one of the ones where we can truly like tap into what it means to be human. So that was really cool to see that in here. And then it also kind of is funny because he's brushing off all these things that are happening to him that are truly dangerous. He's like ignoring it or rationalizing it. It's like you're literally pointing out that you should be learning from this. So that's something. Um, and then later on, Seth apologizes and he says something about a girlfriend and asks him, "Oh, do you have a girlfriend? Do you have a wife? Whatever." And Misha's like, "Yeah, a girlfriend." And then Seth is like, if you really read into what you write, I'd be surprised you had either. Everyone knows he's gay. He just isn't willing to come out, which is fair, but also. And then after that conversation, he calls Zeke, and Zeke is checking in. He's like, "You good? Like everything okay? Whatever." But then also um, he did have the ash tested from the phone, like the ash that showed up in the phone. And he said it wasn't cigarette ash; it was from a semiconductor. So he thinks that what probably happened is Misha dropped his phone, broke something, and the ash came out. I don't think so. I don't think so. Part of me actually thinks that Zeke is the bad guy, and I don't like that. But he's known about everything, and he has access to everybody's stuff. He knows where everybody lives. So I don't know. And then after that, um, Misha goes outside, sees Richie smoking, goes out, says hey, and Richie ignores him, and then gets in the truck with a woman, probably his wife. And this is just furthering my thought that Richie is probably gay. So, um, I don't have too many guesses on what's going to happen next. Probably just dumb shit's actually still going to happen, and he's going to be stalked, and he's going to realize he's actually in danger at some point. Um, and I am feeling Zeke is behind some of this. I don't know why. I don't want to, but it's like every time that there's a nice person, they end up actually not being nice. So, but I also feel like it's supernatural still. But I'm not even like halfway through, so there's a lot to go, and this is going to be another one of those ones where it's a like a script. So, and take a little break and work on something else, and then I will be back. Welcome back. Well, I guess welcome back to me. You've been here the whole time. I had to take mini breaks. And by mini breaks, I mean I took a break for the entire day because I had other stuff I had to do. And now it is 9 o'clock at night, and I just finished reading 2 more chapters. Okay, so I finished 2 more. I am now about to start the next chapter on 136. Okay, so the first chapter I read was called Mrs. Y, and it started off with the script, like the like it was written. I mean, I guess every book is written. It was written like a script, like for a show. And the way that it's written, I almost wonder if this is just the author's way of showing the third person, because like the book is in first person. The book is in first person, and then these are in third person because it's a script. So I almost wonder if this is just like, because like it goes off and it talks about like the talks about other people that he's not around. Like it's journalists talking about him and things that are happening to him. So like I don't know. I don't know. But in the script, he was at a gas station. He was getting stuff, and he tried to pay with a credit card that was 2016, and it was 2025. So he's like, I can't. Like, what are you talking about? Okay, like it's 2016. Like, I can pay with this card. Um, Timby, stop leaking. Thank you. Um, but okay, so I don't really know. Like, it's journalists. They're talking about what's happening and like the videos that are going on about him like yelling at the smoker dude, and One is like he doesn't have to disclose anything about his sexuality. This isn't fake. He has stalkers. And then like other ones are like, I don't know. It could be that he's just trying to drum up responses and like get more people. I don't know. Whatever. So that's in the script. Um, After the script is over, we see him on the plane on his way back from Montana, and he like kind of like has his eyes closed. So this is why you didn't see it until she sat down. But he like looks around and he's like looking at the people on the plane, and he sees somebody that's like staring at him. Oh, well, huh. He looks at her, he's like, oh shit, that's Mrs. Y. Now Mrs. Y is based off of the character that you remember the part where like the agents were supposed to like he thought they were gonna fall in love with each other, but like they really made one of them fall in love with like a woman. Okay, well he never actually saw what the woman looked like. This is his imagination of what the woman looked like, this alien version of her. And apparently it's like when she touches people, she can make them lose their mind, and she thinks that she's doing it out of kindness, whatever. So like she literally is trying to reach him and touch him. She's touching other people on the plane. He does his best to hide. And then this is when he realizes, oh shit, this is real. So he's like trying to like evade her. Apparently she's a really big rule listener. So like rule follower. So the fact that he's on a plane and the flight attendants are like, you need to go sit down, help save him. But as he's leaving, she literally touches like everybody that's in the row. Like people are collapsing. Like this is not something they can just hide. And he's like, he gets out, but he calls Zeke and he's like, oh my god, this is real. But also there is a part in it where he's like, I can hide in the bathroom. And he goes up towards the front and he tries to go into the bathroom and they're like, this is only for business class. That happened to me on a plane recently. I did not know that that was actually a thing. I didn't realize that you couldn't use the bathrooms up front if you weren't business class. That is so dumb. Moving on. Okay, so the next chapter is inspiration. This is from 2001, so he's 14 here. And he takes the bus to Richie's house. It says that they had played chicken for a while now, seeing who would like break first. They kept making jokes as things happened. Like he brought heart-shaped chocolate, like a chocolate box, and a book that they had been talking about, and he like brings it over, and the first thing Richie says is, you have a crush on me or something? And he's like joking, but he's also not joking. He's like mocking him, I guess. I don't know. They play their game, and like it's just the two of them. They're really quiet, whatever. And then Richie kisses him. Um, and at first he like leans back and he's like jokingly, like, you know, we can play it off. But obviously Misha's like, no, I actually want to kiss you. So they kiss, and then the brother starts to come down the stairs and they stop. And he like makes jokes like, what are you two like gay? Like, what are you two kissing down here? Like, he's making fun of him. And then Richie's like, shut the fuck up. And the brother's like, okay, I went a little too far. But then he sees the heart-shaped box and he like gets serious and he gets mean and he gets like, he's targeting Richie. The brother said something like, um, it's a heart-shaped box, blah, blah, blah. Are you guys gay? Are you gay or something? Is he making you do gay shit? And Misha was like, it was just half off. It was half off. It was nothing. It's nothing. Like trying to like get the brother not to do anything. And that puts the focus on him. And essentially, Richie was like, this is my out, is to put the attention on Misha. And so he's like, yeah, Misha is trying to make me do gay shit. And so the brother's like, well, then make him leave. And that is when Richie punches him. And then Misha runs out of the house, ends up in the forest at some point. They live on a farm. And wakes up and then goes into their barn because he's like, oh, the bus stop isn't, like the bus is done. There's no way to get back tonight. And so he ends up going into their barn and sleeping, and then we see a black lamb is what he sees like when he wakes up. Um, so I think that's where the black lamb came in for the other one. He thought that it was a monster, and then it wasn't. So obviously he has trauma. Obviously, I was correct about Richie. I mean, even if he's not gay, he's at least bi. He probably has like home life that isn't so great. So he thought that he couldn't be himself and put that on Misha. Now Misha has a lot of trauma from that. Um, I'm very confused about the the script things, because if they're real, then that means that at some point Misha comes from 2016 into 2025, because who would still carry around their 2016 credit card? So I'm wondering, like, is this actually set in 2016 and he ends up in the future somehow? Or is this like he loses his memory for a little bit? I don't know. Um, or maybe that has nothing to do with it and it's actually not real. I'm not really sure. I also can't remember what the first script was, but I'm sure there's going to be more. Then let's see. So I'm about to start punch-ups. So I'm almost halfway. So, Bagheera and I read more of the book. One book's no, you don't need to lay on me. Okay. Okay, so the first chapter that I read was Punch Up. I don't know where he got that name from. Like, the other names, it made sense once I read the chapter. This one doesn't. Um, so he gets off the plane, and Zeke picks him up, and he tells Zeke everything. And he already feels like Zeke's not going to believe him, but he does. And as they're driving, there's already people posting videos of what happened online. And people are like, is this real? Is this like stalker? Like not real, like nobody thinks it's real, except for the people in the main characters. But they're like, is this stalkers? Is this a publicity stunt? Like what's going on? So they get home and they can't get a hold of Tara. Tara's already at the house. So like that's where they're staying because like that's where they have security. So they get home and they're like freaking out because they couldn't find her. And they tell her like, oh my gosh, it's real. And she starts crying because she's like, oh, I knew it. It had to be real. I knew it. So they look and they like do like a little sit down, talk about it, come up with like what's the same. And at first he's like, well, they're targeting me. And then they're like, well, wait a minute. Actually, they're not just targeting me. They're targeting Tara. Is that an accident? Or was Tara on purpose or was she collateral? Like, and then they're like, okay. And he's like, well, it's my characters. And then he realizes like he made Mrs. Y talk a lot and be like super empathetic. But the TV people didn't like want her to be quiet, didn't want her to talk, didn't want her to have lines, wanted to cut that. So they're realizing, oh, this isn't your characters. This is the Harold brothers version of the characters. And also, they're not all your characters anyway because Alice isn't your character. So, okay, while they're talking, security guard comes over and he's like, hey, just so you know, there's a little black lamb. And I'm going to call animal control. And of course, Misha's like, kill it because it's the black lamb that is a monster. And he's like, no. And he gets all empathetic and he's like, no, we have to take care of the baby. Why would you want to kill it? Why would you want to hurt it? And the lamb eats him. So that's fun. So I don't know where Punch Up came from. Maybe somebody else could explain that to me. Blood Money is the next chapter. So Misha goes to confront Jack. Jack is I think, the exec or like his lead guy, I don't know, whatever. And he's getting like blood rejuvenation. What the fuck is blood rejuvenation? He's just like, oh, the things rich people go through to stay young. And it's like, what the fuck is blood rejuvenation? Is this like a real thing, or is this like another like one of those, oh, we're trying to be like futuristic-y things? I don't know. But he's an exec, and when when Misha talks to Jack, Jack starts to get scared. Like, he's like, kicks everybody out. And at first, Misha's like, oh, this is a power trip. And then he's like, oh, he just didn't want anybody around. So he's also scared. Um, he's like, I learned who my boss is and I can never unlearn it. I don't want you to have to do this, whatever. I don't know. So he's like, just kill them off. Just get rid of the characters. And Misha's like, okay, fine. Like, if that's going to end it all, I'll do it. And so he puts it in writing. He sends it in an email. Fine. And he's like, this is going to be it. And then as he leaves, the smoker calls and is like, you've been avoiding me. And Misha's like, what do you want? I killed the characters. What do you want? And so I don't think that was the end of it. I'm intrigued. I mean, I don't really, I know I was starting to feel like Zeke had something to do with it. And like, I feel like he could definitely still have something to do with it. Like, I feel like I always go into it was the spouse. It's the spouse. It's the spouse. I don't actually think that's the case in this one. I might have just gotten too far ahead of myself. But the execs are doing something. There's something going on that is supernatural. And I'm almost wondering if this is somehow they can be like, hey, if somebody's causing us trouble, we can sick this stuff on them. You know? I did like one part in here where Zeke was like, okay, let's problem solve. Let's figure out like how we can stop these. And then like he's like, I actually didn't make there be any way to stop the smoker. The way to stop the smoker was to offer him a light in the first place. I hope we do learn more about the backstory of how he created the smoker, because we learned about the lamb, we learned about Mrs. Y. I'm assuming if there's only 3 bad characters that we're going to see in this entire thing, I'm almost wondering if that's going to be the next inspiration that we're going to see. But yeah, so I love this. Honestly, I would keep going, but I need to take a nap. I'm tired. I'm sick. I'm tired. So I just finished 2 more chapters. I read up through 192. Okay. So first one is called Sledgehammer. So he's following Jack. Okay. He like waited for Jack outside of the blood infusion place and saw him get angry on the phone. And then he followed him in the car. And he while he was waiting and while he was thinking and while he was following, he was having these realizations that he's gonna die soon, because this is he's almost gonna die because of right, we know the 5 days later is whenever the smoker guy's gonna come back and he's gonna get crushed into bits, right? So it's this realization that he's yeah, I mean I thought being quietly out was good enough, but maybe good enough isn't actually enough. So he's having those realizations. Good, I guess, maybe, I don't know. But he follows Jack to this like really rundown place that still has like a thumb keypad and like all this fancy like cameras and stuff like that. And it's the same place that you remember me saying about like the AI was so good that they made like an AI of the dead guy to use as a character that he never would have been in real life. It's the same place as that was made. Um, he has a whole conversation with Tara about like technology because he's like trying to get in, but then she's like, well, they have this, and then like again brings up the fact that he shouldn't be having his phone out like within this distance. And then she's like, but then they don't have this and this, so I guess it doesn't matter. Like, I don't know. It was really confusing. I feel like that's going to come back later that like technology was a part of this, but I don't know. I don't understand. Um, Jack comes out and he has clearly been punched in the face. He gets in his car and he drives off. Um, and while Misha is waiting after Jack is driven off, he sees that dead guy come out. And so he's like, oh my God, it's clicking. Oh my God. Dead guy into this character wasn't AI. They created a whole character. So I'm wondering if it was actually all an accident that they did this, or if somehow it wasn't an accident, they did it on purpose to make their stuff better and like these people are on their side. I don't know. But this character that he's playing is Enzo the mob boss. So that guy gets in the car and follows Jack. Then Misha follows them both. He finds their cars on the side of the road, hears a gunshot, and then the Sledgehammer song plays, like the older Sledgehammer song. I don't actually know it well enough to sing it, so it doesn't matter. Probably couldn't if I tried. And then he hears that Jack's like, what is going on? Like, and like the Enzo guy is like, Shades was listening. So the entire time that they were like talking in that blood reinfusion place, there was a guy that was in there that like had headphones on and sunglasses on and like didn't leave whenever he told everybody to leave, but they thought he couldn't hear them. Clearly he could, so he was listening to them, but that guy is threatening Jack because he got this, I don't know, he got told about all this shit. And I guess he's sharing secrets or something like that. I don't know. So he is like legitimately threatening him. Jack like sneaks up on him and, or not Jack, sorry. Misha sneaks up on the two that are talking, kind of talking, and sees that Jack is tied to a tree and this mob guy version of the dead guy is currently torturing him. Not gonna lie, didn't love this chapter. It was gross. It didn't need to be that in-depth, in my opinion, though it did give me the sickening feeling in my stomach that I think this was going for. So there is that. And it's like, Misha's sitting there like, well, this guy isn't the best guy, but he is also a friend. And even if he wasn't a friend, like, nobody deserves to go through this. So, like, he tries to save him. He doesn't quite move fast enough. He doesn't get the gun before the other guy puts it back in his pocket. He doesn't know that he's there. I don't remember what it was. And he eventually does run at the Enzo guy and hits him really hard, ends up killing him, turns around to free Jack, and Jack is dead. And then, of course, Misha's like, oh, I guess his body couldn't handle this torture, all those broken bones, all the blood loss. We never got to go to his daughter's softball game or something, softball or soccer game. So that sucks. And then, like, there's this weird moment where it's like, he's in a crime scene now because this guy has been murdered, turns around, and then that guy disintegrates. The guy who killed Jack just disintegrates because he's not real. He's fake. He's made up those molecules, whatever they are, that were in Misha's phone whenever the smoker called. But now it's like, okay, well, what does he do? Because he is in this crime scene. He has now put his DNA in this crime scene because he threw up because he killed somebody, even if that person wasn't real. And he's like, well, shit, what do I do? And so, like, he was like, I'm banking on the fact that, like, they're going to be distracted by this dead guy over here that is clearly supposed to have already been dead for a while. Oh, and now he disintegrates. So now it probably looks like Jack did it. Nope. It looks like Misha did it. I get their names mixed up. Probably looks like Misha killed Jack. So that's a little bit upsetting. Don't know how he's going to get away with that or through that or whatever. But the next chapter doesn't cover that. It goes to 1999. So now we're in Inspiration 1999. We do figure out where the smoker came from. So the smoker came from his Uncle Keith, which we knew. We did know that. The 5 days between start and kill is because, like, he had to stay with his uncle stayed with him and babysat him for 5 days while his mother was on a work trip. I guess the dad left. I don't know if, like, the dad, like, died or divorced or what. I don't know. But they're alone now. They're single mom. She has to work more. She has to do overtime, so she calls her brother in to help. She has a few rules about the house, like, you know, smoking inside, you know, whatever. And then the usual ones that, like, Misha is like, we're not supposed to have our shoes on the couch. We're not supposed to have this and this and this. Like, and at first, Keith is kind of, like, playing it easy, and he's like, let me go get pizza, whatever. He goes out, comes back, and he's high off something. And he's still kind of trying to play, like, the happy-go-lucky person. And there's, like, this cycle of addiction that we're recognizing. And Misha, even, like, now he's telling us this inspiration, right? And so he's like, I don't know if he was, like, actually trying to be this person, if he was trying to be power hungry, if he was trying to be mean, if he was trying to be aggressive, if he used this as an excuse to take money from my mom at a slightly cheaper rate than everybody else, but still high enough that she had to work overtime. Like, I don't know if he did this on purpose or if it just happened this way, and then he, like, really actually wanted to help, and he just ended up always getting drunk and high and stuff like that. So he is rationalizing it, and we don't know the answer because we don't know Keith, right? We only know Misha's experiences. But he is living off of these, like, power trips of, like, obviously he knows how to light his own cigarette, but what does he do? He says he goes outside and he calls Misha and he says light. So Misha has to light the cigarette, and I guess there's bad things that happen if he doesn't. We didn't really go over that, but this is not a new thing. And then he's like, I'm gonna play the nice guy and, like, oh, I forgot to get pizza whenever I went out to get high, so here's some Twizzlers, you know, whatever. And he goes to the computer and he's like, he pulls up the history. He says, I'm gonna teach you how to delete your internet history, and he thinks he's gonna find, like, things about boobs, and of course he sees naked men. So he gets upset with Misha. He's like, you know what? And he leaves for a little bit, comes back with a woman, and he says, I'm not gonna tell your mom, but usually she sleeps on the couch, you sleep in the bed. That's not going to work. I'm sleeping in the bed with this girl. You're sleeping in the car. And he's like, and you're not going to tell your mother what we're getting up to this week. So for 5 days, Misha lives in the car, in Keith's car, which is cold. Like, it's like, he describes it as frost and stuff like that. So, like, I guess, like, I don't know where, like, I mean, it's inspiration. So it's like, obviously 5 days is how long he was there. So that's the length of time he gave before this guy murders people. But, like, the other ones kind of, like, made more sense in my brain how it got to the murder part. I kind of was wondering if at the end of the week he would still tell the mom. I don't know. He didn't, but still intrigued. But yeah, so I don't know. Just the one chapter did throw me, or the portion of that one chapter did throw me a little bit. I knew that I was getting into a horror. I knew that I was getting into, like, what I thought was a serial killer, but I didn't expect, for what I have read so far in the book, before I got to this point, I didn't expect this graphic of a portion. like talking about like bones breaking and blood splurting and things like that. Like I didn't expect that. Like um it did fit the chapter. It's not like it was like out of nowhere, but it kind of felt like it anyway, if that makes sense. Um but I'm I'm wondering, I don't know, I feel like maybe they accidentally I think they accidentally turned this into what it is. Maybe they like meant to just like bring to life these characters, but then they became like a mind of their own. I feel like that's probably where this is. But I'm intrigued as to see how they did it. It's obviously sci-fi, but then who's in charge is the question. So I just finished page 228, 2 chapters. And also, if I forget things, it's because I wrote them down and then for some reason my tablet decided to go like blank. Okay, so the first one was the Great Meadow Prison Break-In. So Misha just left the murder scene, right? He grabbed the gun, he came back to the place where the AI was created. He has Jack's thumb and Jack's wallet. So he uses Jack's thumb to get in. He uses the key card to get into other rooms, runs into security guard. He pretends to be crazy and he's like, okay, like you're gonna have to like let me in because God told me all this stuff, whatever. He like acts crazy. And then the security guard eventually lets him into the lab. Well, he lets the lab people out because Misha asked for them, and then they let him into the lab. And essentially, like, he finds out that they're nanos. This is a nanotechnology with an electromagnetic field that's supposed to zap them as they go through so they can't escape. They duplicate on their own. They kind of just control them in this area. They think, they're like, oh yeah, like, none of them escaped. Like they're all here. Like this is they didn't even think about them escaping. Like they were like going through. He learns, okay, so you can't just pick anybody. You have to pick somebody that has their information in here. So the workers pre-strike, the characters, the writers, like all that stuff, all that is in here. So they're all in there. So you can't just pick anybody. You can only pick people that are involved with Harold Brothers, whatever. So he they're like looking through the list and he's like, why is this one red? And it's Mrs. Y. And he's like, why is this one red? And they're like, well, that one means it's active. We've had this glitch for like 7 months, like since September. So like they're not active, obviously. And they like look around, they're like, they're not here. Um, but then of course this is where he realizes, oh, some of the nanos have escaped. And so they find out, he's like, look, the nanos have escaped, like they're out there already, like these characters are existing. He's like, yeah, okay. They just don't believe him. So he asks them to bring one of them to life so he can talk to him. So like, he can get answers. And one of the techs is like, oh, I know somebody will talk. And they bring Enzo back to life. Enzo is the one that just killed Jack. And he's like, you killed my friend. And this is where it's like, they are sitting here claiming like this doesn't have any, this is not AI. This does not have intelligence. It's not like this is like this is new every single time. And so everyone's really shocked when he talks to Enzo and Enzo's like, "Oh yeah, like I do remember you. Your name's Misha." Like he's like, "I remember this." And then like he goes on saying like See, this is the problem. You think that you're trying to escape a trap, or you're trying to avoid a trap when you've already been trapped. You've been trapped this whole time. Um, and essentially they figure out like the algorithm is looking for more money, more views. And so even though he's decided, I'm gonna kill my gay characters, they're like, yeah, but like this is more fun. This is actually gonna get more views. So eventually at some point he's talking to Enzo and says that, and then the gun that he's been holding to threaten people just disappears in the nanos. And he says, see, I told you they're outside. Like I came in with this gun. I told you that the nanos are outside. Like you need to shut it off. And I mean, at some point, I think before that actually, they were like, well, we can't turn it off. Like it's not like if we turn off the electromagnetic field, like that just lets them escape and then they can duplicate. It's not possible to kill them all. I mean, maybe if we had a big enough magnet, that's it. And so he's like, well, how did they get out? And they're like, it's impossible. Like they didn't believe it. One of the lab techs was like, well, they did turn down the electromagnetic field because it was like humming too loud for filming. So like they turned it down, which I've never really liked. I never thought that was good. But I didn't think they'd escape. So that's how it happened. They essentially, corporate greed is killing people. The next one is gallows humor. It starts off with a scene. There's a bride character who drives up, goes to Misha's house, and the security guards that are sitting there like see her with her car, her pink Cadillac with the I don't know, the things behind it, the cans behind it, and they see that she's killed her husband essentially. Um, she ends up killing them, but before she does so, she says like, "See, this is what I like. I know that I'm doing stuff, but like it's all already planned. Like it's almost like I'm living in a play, and everyone we already know what's going to happen. Like I always get what I need because I know it's going to happen." And so she like kills them. She leaves, and then what she predicted happens: that Misha dries up, and that he goes to open his door and he dies. This is the 2016 version. So now we learn that the old Misha, the one that was like confused about like, hey, why this is my 2016 credit card, of course it should work. He was a nano. So I think this is also showing us this is AI. This is creating beings who are sentient, which one of the lab techs in the last chapter had also mentioned. If we had sentient creatures, then we'd have to talk about morality. We have to talk about like the cause. Like what did it say? It said, oh, I wrote it down and it got erased. It's like she mentioned like, oh, we'd have to worry about like workers and stuff like that. I don't know, but like the morality of it. So, but we are learning this is probably the case. They do probably think and feel things. It's not just the algorithm. Like yes, the algorithm is there, but also they're feeling things. So he actually gets caught by Mrs. Y because he had already opened the door, though he was very confused because he doesn't recognize this. Mrs. Y now walks in, and that's where the other two were staying to be safe. Obviously, they weren't. Zeke and Tara have now been tapped, shown the entire universe, and have gone crazy. They are now curled up in balls, and it says like at some point, I think like on the plane he mentioned it. Now they will have to be force fed, or they will end up dying of starvation. That's it. So they're catatonic essentially. Now the real Misha comes home, sees the dust and the door is open, wonders where the security guards are, goes inside, finds them. Also sees like in the reflection of a TV, sees Mrs. Y behind him, and he says, I own this house. You have no right to move here. So he uses his own rules against her. Now he does try to say, you have to heal them. There is no fix for what she's done. So I don't know if we're going to be able to fix people, if we're going to be able to heal people or not. But because she's stopped and she's not allowed to move in his house, he's then able to kill her. So that's where we ended. This is very much like reminding me of Tim, Defender of the Earth. I don't know if you ever read that as a kid. Honestly, I don't know. It just because I've read something like this somewhat-ish, it feels like it's been done before, obviously, but like it also feels like it's done differently. Like this is very much like, I don't know, I'm expecting the nanos to be killed off somehow. I'm expecting or they are able to like fix the algorithm in a way that's like, hey, we can't kill them off because it's not possible, but we can make it so that whenever they recreate, they're not recreating based solely on the efforts of making money and getting views. They're doing this out of love or, you know, like earth. I don't know. Um, but I think they're obviously going to fix it somehow. I think he is going to be able to keep his characters gay and keep them alive because he's going to have some pull here somewhere. He's really going to be like, fuck this. Like, you already killed people. You already destroyed people. Might as well keep my characters gay or else it wasn't worth it, you know? Um, I also feel like this is like showing off like the gay trauma, the queer trauma that he's pointed out. Like, it's only really good if there's trauma, if there's drama, if there's pain, if there's, you know, all that stuff. So I'm intrigued there. I do really hope they can fix Zeke and Tara. I hope they can fix everybody that's on the plane too. I also don't know how they would do that. I do like that this is like it's his creations, but it's also not just his creations. Like it's other things. He's realizing like he was a part of that algorithm. Like he was told where to go and how to be there. Like at one point, the bad character, the the one who killed the nano guy who killed Jack, was like, you think that I didn't bring you here for a reason, like that kind of thing. And so it's like, okay, so we know that in some way or another, he is being told where to go and how to be and why to be there and when to be there. So he's kind of like, at what point did I actually have choices? At what point was this real? And so that's intriguing. So I finished 2 more chapters. I am about to start page 261. There are 3 chapters left, so I will probably do those 3 together because they're honestly shorter than the other ones. So I'll just do that. Um, the first chapter that I did was genre roulette. Um, okay, so he knows that these things are coming towards him. Okay, he knows that his time is running out, and he's like, what do I do? Because he realizes that killing these nanobot created beings isn't going to work because though it kills those bots, there are thousands and hundreds of thousands probably out there that could create more. So it could literally just be like, well, I killed this smoker and then the smoker is going to come back around. So he realizes that. And then he says, and then he's like, I could write a new story, blah, blah, blah. But then he's like, well, but it's only the filmed stuff. It's not the written stuff. So that won't really change anything unless we have time to film anything. And that won't. It's not going to be added to the catalog. So he says he's been playing by the rules. He's like, well, the smoker doesn't have a way to die. The lamb didn't really, I think that one was, I guess they could keep killing it. I guess there's a way to die. But again, we're in the situation where if it dies, it's just going to come back. And then Mrs. Y doesn't have a way to be defeated. So he's just like, okay, I could fight back. But that doesn't really work. I've been playing by the rules. And I've been playing by the algorithm's rules. So if I do that, I'm always going to lose because I'm in their game. So he decides, he says, characters the characters are set in stone, but the genre and tone aren't. So he's like, I can just change the ending by changing the way that I'm reacting to things. Because if you're in a comedy, you're going to react to things differently than if you're in a romance. And if you're in a romance, you're going to react to things differently than if it's a horror. You know what I mean? He's reacting like it's a horror. So maybe he just has to like react like it's not. I shake my head, still chuckling to myself. But in this moment, something much more important than laughter begins to simmer. An idea. These characters are set in stone, but the genre and tone is not. The path I'd been led the path I've been led down is one of senseless catastrophe, the classic Hollywood tale of the man who plummets to rock bottom just moments before he would have crested the peak. They're planting drug stories in the news and pumping up my exhaustion, sending me all over town and then ripping away my closest friends when I'm gone. I'm living out this queer tragedy as they write it for me. Just one more tormented, half-in-the-closet gay character whose dark descent can serve as a cautionary tale and move tickets. But that's certainly not the only queer genre convention out there, not by a long shot. And while tragedies are important stories to tell, our appetite can be satiated with more than just suffering. If the story is good, it'll find an audience. Whether it's a tragedy or triumph, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's time I took the next act into my own hands. So that's where he comes up with this idea. We're also, I don't know if I said this, but at some point he did learn that like the old Charlie is running around. So like that's kind of adding to the we saw this story about you. We saw this story about you. We saw this story about you. And he's like, I definitely didn't do that. It was the other him. But it's adding to the confusion of like, well, we saw you walking around thinking it was still 2016. So you're good. Meant to discredit him, essentially. Next chapter is In Memoriam. This is where he goes to the Oscars, which we've been looking for this entire time. Mind you, this is actually a short, like, though it's a good-sized book, it's actually a short time period. Like, this all happens in a matter of, like, 5-6 days, right? He's there at his house. He's getting ready to go to the Oscars. He dresses up. He does everything. He gets ready to go into his car. There's paparazzi surrounding his house because they're hearing all of these stories, okay? He feels a poke in his leg, but he brushes it off. He's like, okay, why would you fucking stab me with a fucking pen? What the hell? Gets in a car. The reason the paparazzi are all around him is because they keep being like they keep asking him a bunch of questions. Like, are you gay? Are you on drugs? Are you blah, blah, blah? Did you know Jack was found? What do you think about that? And he just has to like pretend he knows absolutely nothing. He's just not responding to anything. The driver to the Oscars seems like she actually cares. So they talk. She says she's inspired, whatever, like she's excited about meeting him and whatever. And he says, did it ever bother you that I don't talk about being gay? She says, the fellow queers always know. He says, sure, but don't you care that I'm not like officially out as a fan, I mean? She says, coming out is a very personal thing. It's not really my business whether you're gay or straight, or whether or not you want to shout it from the rooftops. That being said, what better way to show you're proud of something than by, shouting it from the rooftops? He says, I didn't ask for that responsibility. She says, I know. John McClane didn't ask to be responsible for the Nakatomi Plaza either. Nobody has to be a hero for anyone else. That's kind of the whole point. And later on, he does say something like, he's like, I don't have to be a hero. I just need to be the main character of my own story. And in order to be a main character, I have to not die. That's the whole point. If you're the protagonist, you just don't, like, you are the protagonist until you're gone. Later on, he's like thinking about all of this stuff, and he's like the real villain isn't. I think at some point like the smoker like came up and talked to him and whatever. I'm not 100% certain where this came in, but he says the real villain is unchecked capitalism and the desire for capitalist systems to monetize other people's trauma. That's the real villain. I don't know if I don't remember if he said it to her or if he said it to the smoker. I honestly don't remember. But either way, very true. Because if you look at our media now, like that's all it is like in every single book, every single movie, every single TV show, there is trauma. Now, don't get me wrong. That's because there's things that go wrong every single day in people's lives, but they trump it up. It's like whenever you watch like first season of Supernatural versus the last season of Supernatural, they had to like one up themselves in the trauma game. It's fair. It's what people like. It's what draws people in. But anyway, so he's at the Oscars. He's sitting there and he realizes he doesn't feel good, and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm in pain. And so he goes to the bathroom and he realizes he was infected by a worm from predatory hunt. So he had to stab himself to get it out. The smoker visits while he's doing that and basically is like, why are you doing this? You're going to die anyway. And that's when he's like, bruh, I just have to like not die. Um, and literally the smoker says that the reason they're doing this is because it's increasing 0.003162% of quarterly profits. And he's like, do you actually think you're worth more than that? He's like, you know what? Tara and Zeke are. And he's like, all I have to do is be the protagonist of my own story. And in order to do that, all I have to do is live. He patches himself up. Now, mind you, he is bleeding like crazy. He's passing out because he stabbed himself to get this fucking worm out of his body. So he like goes back in. He actually wins. And then he says his speech. He like doesn't read the one that he wrote, but he's still changing the genre of his story, right? So he's like, by the way, I'm gay. You know, whatever. They all get excited and clap and whatever, and then they try and get him off the stage with the orchestra, whatever. And he's like, it's not just about telling queer stories. It's about telling all kinds of queer stories. Yes, there can be tragedy and death and darkness. There's an important place for that. But don't forget about queer beauty and queer catharsis and queer joy. Every gay character doesn't need to die in the first scene or in a third act blaze of glory to save everyone else. Support queer heroes, not just on screen, but off screen too. And then he mentions like, he's like, here's the thing. It's not some coincidence that the press has me lined up to be the next true Hollywood train wreck. A closeted gay man at the end of his rope, a guy who destroys his identity before his identity can destroy him. Well, I won't let that happen. I reject the idea that I'm the star of some real-life queer tragedy, and I reject the very idea of queer tragedy as the only valid form of gay entertainment. I call on all of you to usher in a new era of stories where the gay, bi, or lesbian, or asexual, or pansexual, or trans character lives happily ever after. By those stories, make those stories profitable. And I think that really hit me because, like, I mean, why else would it hit me? Because we've experienced it, right? But also because it's just like, one, we know that it's not just us. Like, it's not us as the consumers that are doing it. We're not the ones that are like, oh, yes, we have to make everything a trauma. We have to make everything dramatic. But we are the ones that can choose as a whole. Okay, are we only buying the ones? Are we only watching the ones where there's trauma, where there's drama, whatever? But then it also kind of like brings it back to like what he's doing, where it's like, this isn't just on screen. We are the main characters of our own lives, and we have to also take control of our own lives and recognize that there are things that are happening. With this is in some ways the easiest telling would be a trauma. In some ways would be a horror, would be dramatic, would be scary, right? The people that are actively trying to take away our rights, the people that are actively trying to target us in bathrooms. Like, it's very easy for us to get bogged down in the trauma of it all and in the fear of it all. But I think I like the way that he's like, you know what? I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn my reaction into something else because that will change the genre. And like celebrating your own queer joy does that. Like, I think that's why I love the groups that we've created so much, because it's like, oh yeah, we can sit there and we can talk about the things that are going on for real, for serious. We can sit down and be like, are you okay? And we can have those moments where we just help each other through things. But we can also sit there and be like, oh my God, you wrote a book. I'm so happy for you. Or like, wow, you wrote a chapter. That's amazing. Or we can literally just sit there and be like, wow, you took really good photographs, or you just enjoyed a day in the sun with your friends. And that right there is the biggest form of rebellion to everything that's happening, because we are choosing to turn the genre on its head. So he tells his speech, he changes the genre, fine, he leaves, he collapses in like a closet. And he wakes up and somebody's like, you good? Are you okay? And he realizes as he leaves to go home that he's been patched up and he notices that there's ash on it. Now, does this mean that it was the smoker? I don't know. But he was supposed to be killed by the smoker that day. It could have also been another character that was brought to life just specifically to save him because they realized, oh, now the algorithm, it would be better if he lives. I don't know, but obviously he's not dead. He goes home and Tara and Zeke are okay. Not only are they okay, there's a bunch of press outside, and also they're on the phone when he gets home, and they're engrossed in the TV. So we're going to find out probably what's on TV. We're probably going to find out, like, Zeke was probably just worried about him because he didn't come home that night. But I'm excited to see how they say that Zeke and Tara were, like, taken out of that coma thing. I'm sure that the other people on the airplane were also healed. Um, I'm assuming that it's going to have something to do with, like, oh, if the algorithm could, like, destroy things, then it can also fix them. I just wonder how they're going to go about that. Um, Maybe they had to be programmed to do that. I'm not 100% certain. But that is really good because I really wanted Zeke and Tara to be okay. Okay, I finished the book. It was really good. Okay, so last 3 chapters. Killjoy. So he realizes, like, this is a little while. I think it was like 2 weeks later or something like that. I don't remember. They gave us a timeline. I forget. He's been picking up Tara to go into work. He says it's out of the way, honestly, but, like, I don't mind because I've been looking for any excuse for us to be together. And I think that's something that, like, I've been recognizing a lot with, like, we've gone from the shift of completely individualistic as a society to sometimes it takes trauma, but also I've been seeing a lot of people, like, gasping and grasping for community. And some people want the community but aren't willing to put in the work for community. And I've been seeing a lot online. Community is inconvenient. And I mean, obviously this is nuanced, right? Like, you don't inconvenience yourself so much that it becomes a hindrance to your own growth. But, like, it's not a, well, I did this for you, you're going to do this for me. It's not a one for one. You're going to have times where you're like, it's inconvenient for me to be the one that does the dishes. It's inconvenient for me to be the one that picks you up, but it's like also sometimes that's the thing that that person needs so much that they can succeed. And there's things that they're doing that help you by just existing in your life. And maybe it's not right now. Maybe it's going to be in the future. Maybe it was in the past. But, like, as a community, if we're going to help each other, sometimes it's going to be inconvenient. It's just how it is. But you're going to be inconvenient to somebody else as well. So he realized that he needed to spend more time with his best friend. And it's inconvenient, but he doesn't care because he recognized that he could lose her. Which it shouldn't take almost losing somebody to realize that it's okay to be inconvenienced by them, but that's where we are as a society. Moving on. He is missing Jack. He's, like, back and he's like, I have a meeting, fine, whatever. He's also recognizing a lot of rainbow capitalism, like, to a point where it's like, oh, everyone has pride flags now. Everybody has stickers now. Everybody, there's, like, there's a rainbow in the logo now. Like, it's like, oh, look, we're here and we're queer. Let's go to 264. This is the thing that got me. Looming above us is the ad for a brand new HBS blockbuster, a testament to just how fast this town can move when it really wants to. Queeros is emblazoned across the top in bold, majestic letters. And it's literally, it says it's a superhero team, and the colors of their uniforms make it quickly apparent which queer identity they belong to. It has a bi one wearing pink, purple, and blue, etc. And then it says, in this world, there are no villains, only queeros. So it's like, okay, you took everything to the extreme the other way. So that's not going to help anybody. So it's a complete 180 in their personality of everything. Like, everybody's like, oh my God, bitch. Like, I love that you're not wearing a suit to this. This is so iconic. You know, whatever. So if we go to 268, his new boss. Okay, so he recognizes whenever the guy stands up, his new boss, he's like, oh, on that seat is Ash. So he knows that this guy is AI. Okay. Um, so it says, I immediately clocked the chair where Freddie DeWitt just rested, drawn to the faint smudge of dark ash that now streaks his upholstery. I'm hardly surprised this man isn't real. Why wouldn't the algorithm install one of their own? But the confirmation puts me on edge. It's only now that I notice how much this office has changed. Live, laugh, love style artwork hangs everywhere. These three words repeating themselves in various hand painting combinations. Several photographs have been blown up, framed and hung, giant depictions of men holding hands while sunrise blooms before them, or laughing together as a mischievous puppy tears open a birthday present. The images have an oddly sanitized quality. They're just gay enough to count as representation, but not enough to offend. When my gaze finally arrives on the couch, I gasp out loud. Jack's boring beige two-seater has been replaced by a hell of a statement piece, a long daybed colored by the stark bars of a rainbow flag. The word pride is written across it in giant white sequins. No adult gay man in their right mind would own that fucking couch. Freddie DeWitt is an approximation. At best, he's someone's poorly executed gay best friend character from a forgotten 90s rom-com. At worst, he's a synthesized amalgamation of traits and behaviors built to fill the role of a generic queer man through the eyes of a straight culture. He is the stereotype. So, just as damaging, right? This is, I mean, not just as damaging, but like it is, right? Like it's like, okay, if they're threatening to not put us in, that's damaging to our culture. But if they're putting us in and they're having this stereotype that now it's just going to be like, oh yeah, see, this is what a gay person is. It's just as bad. It's just as bad. Um, and then as he's talking, he's like, we only want queer joy, so you can't have any of your horror stuff anymore. No, we want happiness. And then he literally is like, we wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you. Like bad things happen whenever people like aren't happy. And it's like a threat, right? And he's like, Blossom, the one who's doing that like documentary where it's like she was going through all these like sad videos and like doing a documentary on them and talking about how like queer trauma shouldn't be the only thing, right? Way back when at the birthday party. Um, he's like, yeah, she's had a lot of accidents. Like, I mean, we really want this. We want her to succeed, but like first there was a fire and she had a backup luckily, but then she fell down the stairs and it's just like, okay, he's just clearly threatening. Like the algorithm is threatening. Next chapter is Tara and Misha are talking. They like go to a place like a beach that he's never been to. She picked the place. She doesn't use her phone on the lot, and he has his turned off. He didn't use any GPS or anything like that they could have gotten a handle on. So the algorithm doesn't know where they are. So they go to the beach and they talk, and she's like, I have a back door. I think the reason that they haven't detected me is because they can't tell what I'm doing because they don't have access to my stuff. So they go to the AI place, all three of them, Zeke and Tara and Misha. And they're like, the AI is like, do you actually want them to come to this meeting? Because remember, knowledge bears responsibility, so it's a threat on them. Like if they know more, then they're going to be in more danger. And then they realize that instead of being character based now, like where it's like this guy is staying in character and he barely knows anything that's going on with the other characters, they're realizing it's like, oh no, this is all one. They're all sharing information, which they understand. And he's like, you'd think this is actually them being smarter and growing, but it's really just the algorithm. It's just an algorithm, and it's a new way of doing things that doesn't make it smarter. They also figured out that the reason that the stuff got out in the first place is because of earthquakes, because they make the electric field go down or something like that. Then while he's talking to the thing, Zeke plugs in a thumb drive and it like lights up or whatever, and the guy's like, you think that you could do this? Blah, blah. Then Tara's like, hi. you're ignoring me over here in the corner, but maybe you should be paying attention more. Like, just so you know, like, you can't create anything new. You can only create out of habits that you've figured out. So, like, by stealing people's information, you can you can steal their habits. But Tara is new. She never has a tech record because she keeps her stuff shut down. She's asexual and aromantic. And she's like, so you can figure out people's patterns. But you can't do that with an aro ace hero because none of them exist. So she's like, as much as I fucking hate it, as much as I hate that even queeros forgot about us, it's to my benefit now because you don't know how I'm going to act. And she's like, the phone that she never turns on, she had downloaded something onto because she knew their flaws because she could get in the back door. She put it all on the phone, and then it has the automatic download, so it downloads everything, and it destroys it. So it destroys it from the inside out. And then the ash comes down because there's so many nanos everywhere, like for miles. Then we get to the season finale. This is where they're like showing the season finale to everyone. So he keeps like looking for ride shares because he's trying to find Lily because apparently she emailed him her script, and then after he read it, he couldn't get a hold of her because the email that she emailed it from was from her website, which she let lapse, and she didn't put any other contact information on there. So he's been doing ride shares to try and find her. Finally finds her. And he offers to produce her show because he's like, you know what? It's amazing. Let's do it. Oh, and then they go to the finale, and he's going to eventually propose to Zeke. He tells us that. He also says like he's so happy to be in this place where everybody gets to experience this with him. But then also Tara like went all out for this design and like this showing and designed matchbooks specifically for this. And Zeke grabs one and says, do you want one of the commemorative ones? And he says no. And that was like a huge tell of his trauma and healing, not only from the events that just happened, but also from the fact that like the reason he always had a light on him originally was for his uncle. So he's also healing his inner child here. And then, you know, this is actually like queer joy. He wants to end it on a good note. And so he's like, yeah, like the TV show Travelers, now we have this on-screen kiss. We know that there are queer characters. This is great. And you know what? I do have a plan to end them eventually, but like he says at the end, here, wait, let me. Okay. I'm trying my best to stay present, to appreciate this moment while it happens, but the storyteller within me can't stop thinking about the future of these characters. I've got big plans, and now that Travelers has been picked up for 2 more seasons, there's plenty of time to let things unfold. Then, at long last, I'll wrap them up for good. The show will conclude, and the journey of Lexa and Naomi will finally come to rest. On a long enough timeline, endings are inevitable. Tragedy is inevitable. Fortunately, so is joy. How beautiful is that? I love this. Okay. Now, the most amazing thing that I've never shared with you, but is my favorite part of finishing a book that I own, my stamp. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to find a good page to put my stamp on. I think, do I want to put it on the, no, I want to put it on the bottom part. So I'm going to go ahead and, I created the stamp. You can create the stamps. I designed it on Canva, downloaded it, and then you can put it on, there's a bunch of different sites where you can get a rubber stamp or you can get one of the ones that like you push it down and it does it for you with the ink inside of it, but I liked this. I like the rubber stamp aspect, making sure down is down. Oh, and now it says it's from my library. And then when you have stamps, you always clean them off because you don't want them to get gummed up. So I have a little, it's 4 stamps. And then I also always put in here on the first page, I put the month and year that I read it because honestly, like, okay, I am a fucking heathen when it comes to books. I freaking love books. I hoard them like a freaking dragon. And I have an online spreadsheet of all of my books and when I read them and my rating. And I love adding to them. But then also, God forbid the internet goes out or I lose this, I just want to have a little information on when I read it last. So if I want to pick up a book, I'd be like, oh, I read this in 2025, and it's like now 2070 or some shit. Yeah, I'd still be alive then. Okay, moving on. So it is October. Nope, it is. It's not October. It is August. So 8/20/25. I'll give you a little close up. Overall, I did enjoy this book. I I enjoyed trying to ferret out what it was going to be. I mean, again, when I went in this, I legitimately thought it was a serial killer, which I guess technically it kind of was ish. I mean, because the algorithm killed more than one person. Um, I don't know on the definition of serial killer if this would count, but I don't know. I enjoyed figuring it out. I enjoyed the action. I'm not going to call it horror as much as I will action on this one. There were horrific scenes, but I'm not really thinking it's a horror. It's more of an action. I I love the characters. I love how well thought that out they were. I liked the sci-fi aspect of it. It really did remind me so much of Tim, Defender of the Earth, and I want to read that again now. Um, I think that overall, I guess, okay, if you haven't been here before, my rating scale is 1 is did not finish. I usually read at least a quarter of the book before I get to that point. Um, depending on how large the book is. Okay, guys, you can't expect me to read a quarter of 1,000-page book before I DNF it. Um, then 2 is I struggled to finish. 3 is it's an average book. 4 is I would recommend it to somebody. And 5 is I wish I could read it for the first time again. I think I'm solidly in the 3.5 to 4 range. I feel like, honestly, I'm going to put it at a 4. I'm going to put it at a 4. I think that because of how strong the characters were, also because of how like engrossed in it I did very much enjoy it, and I've already recommended it to a few people. I don't think it's like, oh my gosh, you have to read this book. But I really do think that if somebody is into an action or wants a queer book or wants something that's different than like the norm, I would go with this. I don't think the way that they figured out how to solve this was as figure outable, if that makes sense. I mean, I know that it's been done in films before where it's like, distraction, and I fixed it. But I don't know. I think that it was done very well, and I think that it was it. I want to read more of his books, so that on its own makes it more than a 3 for me. Um, and then the fact that I already thought of people who would enjoy this book and have sent it out to multiple people before even finishing it, I'm happy. Um, do I kind of wish it was a serial killer and more horror? Yes, but only because I assumed that it would be and was a little sad when it wasn't because I haven't read horror in a while, which means I need to read horror. But yeah, so that's my rating. It's a 4. Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. In summary, solid 4. Enjoyed the plot, enjoyed the characters, enjoyed the thought process. Would recommend. I don't really think I wish that I would have read it for like I don't want to really read it for the first time again. I just want to read more of his stuff. Um, if you want to be a part of our book club in the future and you are in the Raleigh-Durham area or anywhere close and willing to drive to Raleigh, we meet at the Little Blue Bakehouse in Raleigh by the Alamo Drafthouse at 6:30 on the last Tuesday of every single month. And honestly, if you are interested, you are more than welcome to email us or DM us. Our email is insight@queerlina.org. And I mean, you can comment on this too. Ellen, our amazing book club lady, and also my best friend, one of my best friends. She is the one who puts together, and she sees all these videos too. So you can comment. I will send her your way or you her way, either way, or answer your questions myself if I know the answer. And if you go to queerlana.org/events, like /events, you can see what we're reading for the next month. So we already have our September one picked out. Do I remember it? Hell fucking no, but it is on our website. And yeah, I hope to see you guys there. And if you like this, not every single book will be our book club books for Queer Lina. I have been reading other books for anybody who this is the first one. I have been reading other books. I'm going to go through my books next. And the book for my other book club at the library in Johnston County, where we meet on the third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. at the library in Smithfield. I really just like books, clearly. And maybe I'll do a crafting video soon, because I probably need to. Okay, anyway, that's it for Book Clubs and Bobbins, the book club version. Again, I am Becca, and you can show your support and help me with the algorithm by liking, commenting, following, sharing. Would be lovely. And you're amazing. Go read a book and maybe comment your favorite book under here, especially if it's queer. Okay, love you, bye.